Hello all. In the last video we have seen virtual function and the meaning of early binding and late binding. In this video we are going to talk about pure virtual functions. Let's create a class base and we know how to define a function called as virtual void. Let's use the same example from the last video, display. Now here we were declaring a function as a disp and also writing its body, that is declaring a function as well as defining a function. Situation may come in which base class really do not have a meaningful definition of a function, but it really wants to impose the restriction on the subclass that they have to define a method. For example, if base class says that I really do not have anything to write inside method display, but if there is a class, let's say class sub1, which inherits base class, then it will be mandatory for subclass 1 to write a definition for disp. If we want to put such kind of restriction, then virtual functions can help us. Like if right now we have a virtual void disp, if I use this syntax, which is assignment and 0, that is virtual void disp, then parameters and assignment 0, then this function is called as a pure virtual function. So here is a syntax for declaring a pure virtual function: keyword virtual, the return type, the name of the function, parameters, then is equal to or assignment 0 semicolon. This signature makes this function as pure virtual function. Now if subclass inherits base class base, and in this base class it have a virtual function, then it is mandatory for sub1 to define this display function. Let's check. Let's try to create object of base O and then compile the program. Then this is an error. Here this is error is highlighted. The error says cannot declare variable O to be of abstract type base. So as soon as you make any function virtual in a class, the class is marked as abstract class, and there is a rule in C++ that you cannot create object of an abstract class. See, this is the only rule, that you cannot create object of the abstract class. So it doesn't mean that you can't write anything else. Like you can write a method called as data in this class, and you can actually write content inside it. Let's say this is data of base. This is data of base inline. So it's allowed. But you cannot create object of base because it contains one method, which is display, and this display method is declared as pure virtual. So as soon as you declare a pure virtual function in any class, from that moment onward you cannot create object of that class. Let's put a comment on this and now try to compile the program. It works, there is no error. Now let's try to create object of sub1 object, and then try to compile the program. Again we have a same error, cannot declare variable obj to be of abstract type sub1. Now what has happened, even if sub1 has not declared a function which is of type virtual, but it has inherited a class called as base which have one virtual function, pure virtual function, then if we want to create object of sub1, then sub1 must define display function, or else you cannot create object of sub1. So either we should drop the intention of creating object of sub1, then it is fine. If we want to create object of sub1, then it must write definition of display. Let's write it. Now let's try to compile. Now the program compiles fine and works fine, and we will be able to call both functions, like we will be able to call disp as well as we will be able to call data from the base using object of sub1. Let's compile. Okay, so I should add this public section. We are trying to change inheritance. So now it works fine, so there are no errors now. Now if you run this program, we will see the output as it's taking time to build and run. Let me run it again. Now it shows this is disp and this is data of base. So this is about pure virtual function. If you have a pure virtual function in your class, then you cannot create object of that class. The class is called as abstract class. If somebody inherits a class which have a pure virtual function, then that class either must define the function which is declared as pure virtual, or you cannot create object of that class also. I hope you got the concept of pure virtual function and abstract class. In the next short video, we are going to discuss the concept of virtual base class. Thank you.